to seniors. If you do support changes in the plan, what alternatives would you suggest? Number two, what reforms do you support for entitlement programs such as Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid? Three, do you favor a specific approach to our nation's energy policy? How can we best achieve energy independence? And four, what solutions would you like to see when it comes to reducing the deficit? I think easily you can answer those questions in 12 minutes. Oh my gosh. Okay. And so I think what we'll do is we will start the 12-minute session with Pat on my left. So Pat, you don't have 12 minutes for those four questions.
Okay, now we're not doing opening.
Oh, I'm sorry, I did. That's right, I forgot that. I got carried away.
5 minutes.
We have a 2-minute opening first. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So Pat, we'll start 2 minutes with you. You come right down this way, then we'll switch to go.
Okay. Well, thank you for holding this important forum. This is a very important election. I'm Pat Miles. I'm a third-generation, lifelong resident of Grand Rapids. My mom is a 30-year retired public school teacher here in the Grand Rapids Public Schools. She's here today. My dad is a retiree from Steelcase. I went to the Grand Rapids Public Schools, attended Aquinas College, majored in business administration and economics, and I went to Harvard Law School. And I've been practicing law here as a business lawyer for the past 19 years, been very active in the community, served on a number of boards and charities in various capacities. I've been on the Aquinas College Board of Trustees for 17 years, including a term as board chairman from 04 to 08, and I've been president of the Grand Rapids Bar Association. I was elected that in 2002. I'm running because I'm tired of the extreme partisanship that we're seeing in Congress. Politicians are so focused on themselves, they're not focused on the people's business. They're focusing on their party, they're putting their parties ahead of the nation, they're putting their personal ideologies ahead of the people, and they're not solving problems. And the country's in crisis, and we need to solve problems and work together with practical solutions. What you're going to hear today are very different views on the role of government. We're going to hear whether or not we want to help, the government should help make people's lives better, or should the government, and solve problems, or should the government simply impose, should an individual simply impose their rigid and extreme ideological views and have no government involvement whatsoever and leave everyone to themselves. I want to tell you a story briefly about Marvin Schur. Marvin Schur was 93 years old. He lived in Bay City. He froze to death because the utilities were shut off, his heat was shut off. He made several attempts to try and pay his bill. Everyone was outraged by that. The Michigan legislature took 5 bills to address that issue. My opponent here voted against every single one. In many cases, he was the only vote. This was a bipartisan effort. Over 83% of the Republican caucus voted in favor of these bills to prevent that type of occurrence from happening again. Real lives are affected by these policies. Real lives. This is not theory. This is the real world. Thank you.
Thanks. My name is Justin Amash. I'm always happy to be here. This is I don't know how many times I've been here, but it's been several times. Some of you know me well. I'm happy to have my wife and kids here as well. Been married to my wife for 7 years. We met the last week of high school. And I had said, if she doesn't walk by my locker, then I'm not going to ask her out. And she happened to walk by my locker that day. Asked her out on a date, and that's how we got started. I represent Caledonia, Cascade, Kentwood, and Gaines in the State House. I went to Grand Rapids Christian High School. That's where I met my wife. Went to the University of Michigan, got my economics degree there. Got my law degree at the University of Michigan. And I worked as a lawyer at Varnum briefly before running for state representative. My parents are both immigrants. My dad came here as a refugee, actually, and he was sponsored by a church in Muskegon. His family was sponsored by a minister and his wife. And they came here with absolutely nothing, in complete poverty. And there's actually a newspaper story from the Muskegon Chronicle when they arrived here, showing how poor they were and how happy they were to be in this country. And that's really affected my life growing up. Seeing my father working hard in this country, having that opportunity, telling us not to take this country for granted, to work hard, that in this country, if you do make an effort, you can provide for your family. You're not necessarily going to become wealthy, but you'll be able to provide. And that's what I really fight for, to protect that dream in this country. One of the things I'm really known for in the legislature, I think the thing I'm best known for, is my nonpartisanship. My ability to work with others, regardless of our differences on principles. And the partisanship is about attitude, and I take a positive attitude, and I've been very successful in working across the aisle and getting amendments adopted, more successful than most of my Republican colleagues. And that buzzer's going to keep going, so I better stop.
Good idea. Thank you. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you for this opportunity. Today is Constitution Day, and in Philadelphia in 1787, the Constitution was completed and signed by a majority of the delegates. I have a quote I'd like to share with you from Harry Fosdick. Democracy is based upon the conviction that there are extraordinary possibilities in ordinary people. And I firmly believe that. I am James Rogers, candidate, Libertarian for the 3rd District. I'm an ordinary person. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a politician. I'm not trained in debate. Libertarians talk a lot about the cooperative model versus the power model. Our founding fathers left the tyranny of a king and formed a government that worked for all people. They worked great for 200 years, but now 234 years later, we have 2 political parties now that lord over us like kings, who want to control every aspect of our lives. This has to stop. They put tax and spend policies before us that we don't want and force us to take them against our will. In the 3rd District, we've been represented by people like Gerald Ford, Paul Henry, Vern Ehlers, described by voters and colleagues as thoughtful and deliberate people. They took time and care in making good decisions. They listened to all, even those that disagreed with their positions. This is the kind of government desired here in West Michigan. It's one that listens, one that's thoughtful, one that is cooperative with all people. I look forward to our program and answering your questions and the opportunity to expand more on the power model and the cooperative model of government. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we now